welcome to my channel, Chantilly's Kitchen Hop. I'm your host, Chantilly Lace, and we always do gluten-free vegan recipes. And today we have apple surprise cupcakes, which are actually apple pie stuffed cupcakes. So if you guys would like to learn how to make these, make sure you stick around. Also, make sure you hit that like button or subscribe. See you in a sec. Bye, guys. Hi guys, welcome to Chantilly's Kitchen Hop, and we got episode number 32 today, and I'm your host, Chantilly Lace, as usual, and of course we're always doing gluten-free vegan, but I have fun. I think these are delicious. I actually made them for the first time this week, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy these. They're apple surprise cupcakes, so pretty much we're doing apple pie stuffed cupcakes, and then we're doing buttercream frosting on top with actually some heavy cream. So good. I had them a couple yesterday and a couple the day before. They just melt in your mouth. The apple pie filling is just so delicious. So let's go ahead and get started because we do have a few steps with this one. It's actually, like usual, pretty easy, but there's just a couple of steps and then some cooling and stuff. So we are going to start with the apple pie filling because this needs to simmer for about 12 minutes. So we're going to get that going, set it to the side. So for this, we're going to need 4 tablespoons of vegan butter, or if you guys don't have to do vegan, regular butter, or I would stick with the butter though. I wouldn't, coconut oil might be okay, but it will change the flavor, so you want that little bit of extra salt that the butter gives. And then we just want to melt that down. Oops, I see a little piece of, thing that got, or wrapper got stuck in there. So we're going to be doing this over medium heat. I probably should have said that. So we don't want everything burning, but we do want everything to get down. Then we're going to put in some brown sugar, cinnamon, ground ginger, and nutmeg. And then probably should have also told you guys too. We need to get 4 apples, Granny Smith, Honey Crisp. Really, I would stick with those 2. I wouldn't do Red Delicious because they can get really mushy. But we want to take 4 of them and we're going to chop them into just about 1/2-inch cubes because this is going to be our apple pie filling. So we don't want the whole chunks like a normal apple pie because these are just little cupcakes. So, but don't really worry about the size too much because they do cook down. So you don't, even if they're kind of a little bit over a 1/2 inch, don't freak out. It's totally okay. So we got our butter melted down. So next, we're doing 1/2 cup of brown sugar. You don't need to pack it, just, regular 1/2 cup of brown sugar. We're doing, to remember all of this, 1½ teaspoons of cinnamon and 1½ teaspoons of nutmeg. And then you also want to do 3/4 teaspoon ground ginger and then 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So I already got that all in there. And then we're just going to dump that in with our into our butter. And then we're going to pour the apples in there too. And then just get this a good stir. And then once we notice that it has come to a simmer, we're going to turn the heat down to low, and then we're going to cover it and just let it cook down and get all yummy and stuff. But let's go ahead and get everything all tossed in with those apples. And the apples are going to release a lot of juice and moisture too, so that's going to add to the sauce. So don't worry thinking that, oh my god, it doesn't seem like enough to go with the apples. So just like in an apple pie, it's all going to cook down, so do not worry. And actually today I did a mix of apples because I had 2 Honey Crisps and I had 2 Granny Smiths, so sometimes that's okay too. You just kind of do what you got on hand. So we're just giving this a good stir. And I can already see the apples starting to release some of their juices and stuff because it's already way more liquidy than when we started. So, and we just want to make sure that that liquid that we see in the bottom is at a slight simmer, not quite boiling, but just a little bit of boiling. And it looks like ours is. So give it just one more good stir so we got all the goodies distributed around. And then we're going to turn the heat down to low. And we're going to pop a lid on this and then just, obviously you're probably going to be doing this on your stove, so just let it sit there for a little bit, but we're going to move it out of the way. But I do want to make sure I still got my heat on. So let's go ahead and get that out of the way there. And that's going to end up simmering for about 12 minutes, which should be perfect for me to go over the rest with you guys. And next, we're just going to be doing a really good basic vanilla cupcake. So you guys can use this pretty much for any cupcake recipe. You can even change it around, add cinnamon or some other flavors in there. So this is just a good basic gluten-free vegan cupcake. So you're kind of getting a few recipes in one with this one. So for starters on this one, I did do a few steps ahead of time because sometimes just to save a little bit of time. We're going to do a cup of vegan butter softened, and if you guys have watched me before, you know I usually stick with the earth balance. I just really like the flavor, and then they have the sticks, so it just makes it really nice and easy. So it's just 2 sticks in there. You do want it softened to room temperature. It just makes it a lot easier. And then you're doing, it's a weird measurement, that's why I can't remember, a cup and 3/4 cup of white granulated sugar, and then you guys just want to blend that for probably about 5 minutes. Give you guys a peek, and it's just going to get nice and fluffy. You know, it's almost a white color, so it doesn't have the yellowy tint that butter normally does. And then we're going to be putting in 4 faux eggs of choice. I usually use the egg replacer Ener-G. I love this stuff. It's so easy to use. It doesn't seem to add any weird flavors or anything like that, and it's really easy to use. It's 1.5 teaspoons of fat mix to 2 tablespoons warm water, and just whip it up. So it's really easy. It's not a big mess. It's not a whole deal. You don't have to have a lot of stuff on hand, so I like that. So we're doing 4 of those, and we just want to mix them in kind of one at a time because we just want to make sure they get distributed. So we're just going to pour a little bit, let that get going, and then we'll pour a little bit more. Try remembering everything because, as you guys know, I usually do forget. Like right now, I should probably tell you, go ahead and preheat your oven to 350. So, because I did forget that. That's usually the first step in a baking cookbook, recipes, everything is to tell you that, and I usually end up forgetting. That's just how I roll. So 350 for you guys today, not super hot. And we want to get a muffin pan ready with liners, or if you guys just use your nonstick spray, or if you have nonstick pans and you don't want to bother with any of that, that totally works too. So let's go ahead and get a little bit more of our egg mix in there. Like that. And then we'll give this a little bit, and then we'll put the last one in there. Then, I do already have mine ready, but you guys would, while this is all going and stuff, you'd get your dry ingredient bowl going, and we're actually sifting all this together just to help give the cupcakes a nice fluffy texture. You don't want it super dense like cake. I mean, if you want to skip this step, you kind of can, but I would recommend it with cupcakes. If I was doing a cake, I actually probably would skip this step because it's a cake. It can be a little heavier. So we're going to sift together 3 cups of all-purpose gluten-free flour, or regular flour. You guys don't have to do gluten-free. And you guys know I usually use the Bob's spread mill. It's just a good all-purpose. It is a garbanzo bean and rice flavor, or rice flour based one, so it doesn't really add any weird textures and stuff. I do like the rice flour. Oh, see, and I was already ahead of time, and I forgot I had my stuff here. Alright, so let's go ahead and add the last little bit of our eggs in there. Then, since these are vanilla cupcakes, let's go ahead and add our vanilla, and we're going to be doing 2.5 teaspoons. Or if you want a little extra vanilla, just go ahead and do a full tablespoon. Nobody will judge you because it is a vanilla cupcake, so a little bit of extra flavor is okay. I wouldn't go over that though because then it can get a little bitter and stuff. So, okay, get our vanilla going. Okay, and then back to our dry ingredients. So we got 3 cups, and we're going to want to get that sifted together with 1 tablespoon of baking powder and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. So it seems like a little bit more salt than normal, but trust me, you're not even going to notice it. It works out. But you do want to sift that all together. Make sure the grains are a little bit finer for the flour, and then your baking powder gets distributed all throughout and stuff. So it just makes sure for a nice, smooth, even baking. Because speaking of nice, smooth, even baking, I want to show you guys a abomination that happened in my cupcakes the other day when I was making some. Well, actually, it was yesterday. Follow the recipe to the T. I'm doing everything exactly how we're going to do it right now. And for some reason, look what happened to these things. They just exploded up and then they sunk into the bottom. They have great flavor, but they ended up turning up really hard and just kind of weird texture. So if you guys can see the difference, like I said, exactly same recipe, followed everything exactly the same. So things can happen out of your control. Don't worry, stuff happens to the best of us. I just wanted to show you guys that so you could get an idea of what can happen sometimes to us. Okay, so now we got our dry ingredients going. We also want to get a cup and 1/4 cup vegan milk substitute of choice. I do like that protein mix with the almond and the cashew milk, but if you prefer soy milk, macadamia milk, whatever kind of milk you would like to use for a substitute here, go ahead and measure that out. And we're going to kind of mix how we're going to put in a little flour, and then we're going to put a little milk, and a little flour, a little milk. So we're going to alternate. I couldn't think of a word for a second. So let's go ahead and just put in a little bit of the flour. And let that get mixed up in there, and then we'll put in a little bit of milk after we see the flour just pretty much disappear, so you know it's mixed in, because you don't want to over mix it, but you do want to make sure everything's mixed. I know it's a fine line. It sounds funny to say that, but too much mixing I think might have been what happened to those cupcakes that you saw exploded. It was too much air and stuff in there, but who knows? I'm still completely baffled what happened. Let's go ahead and pour in a little bit of our milk there. Go ahead and do about half of it because we're doing 3 alternations with the flour and 2 of the milk. So go ahead and turn it up a little bit. You don't want it too high when you first pour the milk in there though, trust me. I feel like I forgot something, so I was just checking my recipe. Don't actually think I did, so we're doing good. Right, that's all mixed in, so let's go ahead and put in a little bit more of our flour. Everything's locked in so it doesn't explode. Next time too, we'll also scrape down the sides, because sometimes even with these mixers, the stuff kind of gets stuck on the sides. So you just want to make sure, you know, you get everything, all the goodies, because that might be, you know, a half a cupcake that you're missing out on. You never know. That looks nice and good. But like I said, we're going to scrape down, because I see some flour just stuck to stuff on the sides. And even on the paddle mixer, sometimes I notice some stuff way at the top is like the original butter and sugar that never quite got creamed. So go ahead and just kind of scrape that off a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and just pour in the rest of our milk. Start it on low because it is liquid. See, that one time I accidentally hit it all the way and liquid and stuff goes everywhere, which fortunately I usually don't end up doing that when I'm on live with you guys, but I have definitely had it happen at home, and I'm an absolute disaster by the time I'm done cooking. Alright, so that looks good and mixed. So let's go ahead and add the last of our flour mix in there. And just give this one last good mix up. Go ahead and get these out of the way here. Scrape down the edges one more time, and then we'll give it one last good little mix, and then we'll grab our cupcake pan. Just want to make sure, you know, it's all mixed. No, you don't see any lumps and any flour clusters or anything like that, but with doing the alternating liquid, the milk in there, it does really help with keeping the clumps down, I noticed. So that's one nice thing to do, so you're not just kind of pouring everything on all at once. So if you were really cut for time, you probably could, but you might end up with a little bit lumpier cupcake. So I don't know if I would. Right, so that is our cupcake batter. So let me get our muffin pan, and then I'll show you guys. We're going to fill them 3/4 full because these do raise a little bit, and you don't want to fill them all the way because you'll get a disaster like those cupcakes that I showed you. I know those weren't too full, but that is pretty much what would happen. It would just start leaking out over the sides, and you're not going to have pretty cupcakes. And it's not necessarily that they need to be pretty in the center. You want the edges pretty because we're actually scooping the centers out, but it just isn't very fun when things look horrible. Yeah, so that's pretty good. So we're just going to fill, like I said, about 3/4 full. And even, I kind of start probably just a little over half, and then, you know, mix them around, and if it needs a little more, then I'll put a little bit more. Just so you guys get an idea of that, because I want to get to the rest, so I don't take too long to do. So you give guys a peek. So those are about, you know, they're about 3/4 full, not all the way. You still got a little bit of room, so for them to raise and stuff, you don't have to worry about them escaping out of the liners. You're not going to make a big mess, so just make sure you keep it about there. And then we're going to bake these for about 17 to 20 minutes. I would check them at 17, just stick a toothpick, even a knife in there, and if it comes out clean, they're done. If not, you will need a little bit more time, but just be careful, because the more you do open and close your oven, it will cause them to fall, so they might not be as fluffy and airy. So don't be peeking on them every 3 minutes. Check on them if you must check at 15, but I guarantee these are going to take 17 minutes for sure to cook. Mine seemed to take about 20. I checked on them the once and they just weren't quite there, so I did them for about 20. You're going to pull them out and you're going to let them cool, and then I'll show you what they look like. Get some of the stuff out of the way. So I actually kind of did already show you guys when I showed the mess up. So you're just going to, you know, get these nice, perfect little cupcakes. They're right to the edge. They're going to be nice and easy to scoop out. But let's check on our apple filling over here, because I think it's been about 12 minutes. Yeah, that's looking really good. So let's give this a stir. Oh, lost my thing for a sec. Right, so yeah, that looks really good. Got lots of liquid in there. You can just smell the apple pie as soon as I turn the lid off, or took the lid off. So you actually want to turn your heat back up to medium, because we're going to caramelize all the goodies that are in there. See, you guys can definitely see all the liquid and stuff in there. So now that we've taken the top off, some of the liquid's going to start evaporating, and we're just going to be left with a nice gooey caramelized apple pie filling, which is way better than the store-bought stuff. I promise. Don't go with the store-bought stuff. You want this stuff. And then give it some stirs while this is going, because you don't want it to burn. You don't want it to stick to the bottom. Just want to make sure it's going to, all of a sudden you're going to notice it's all cooked down. Everything's, apples are starting to break down just a little bit more and stuff. So at that point, we're going to take it off the heat. So I don't want this to burn, so it's going to pretty much simmer in again. You guys can even hear the just give you guys an idea while this is cooking down, because this is why we did this first, and even I would do this first when I make the cupcakes, because this does need to cool completely before you put it in your cupcakes, because otherwise it's just going to make a really hot mess. So you do want to make sure it is chilled, not chilled, but at least cool, you know, back to room temperature. You don't want it super hot. And then also if it's super hot when you put it in there and we put the frosting on top, that's just not going to work out very well for us. Right, so that's getting going down for us, so just keep an eye on it. So what you guys are going to end up with is it's a chunky pie, apple pie filling pretty much. So this is a nice cooled one that I made yesterday, and I saved some so I can make sure to show you guys because I knew this would not be ready in time. Because even with the chill factor, we still got to do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and move this one out of the way, and we'll move on to the rest. Make sure that's not sticking to anything there. Okay, so give you guys an idea. So these are our finished cupcakes, and I saved a little bit of the apple pie filling, and I topped it right on top of my frosting. I thought it looked just really cute, kind of did the finished product there and stuff. But like I showed you guys earlier, we got just our plain cupcakes. If you have a little mini cookie, or yeah, these are cookie scoops or ice cream scoop, these will work good. Or, you know, just take a knife and make a little divot in the center of your cupcakes. And I would actually save the centers because you could make some, I can't think for a sec, those little, you know, cake pop balls and stuff like that. There's a few things, or if you just want to mix them with a little bit of the apple pie filling, that's totally okay too. And put some frosting on and just have a pretty much broken down cupcake apple surprise. So give you guys an idea. So we're just, you know, making nice little divots that we're going to load the frosting into right there. Or, I'm sorry, we're going to load the apple pie filling into. Keeping an eye on my stuff. So, just get a nice good scoop. And I actually made sure it kind of was over filling in there. So there you guys go. We got the apple pie stuffed in there. Like I said, I made this a heaping amount, so it's nice and over it. So then we got those. And the last step is, of course, have to have frosting. So we're trying to do this one real quick so I got enough time to show you guys. So we're going to start, we're going to want half a cup of butter and just whip that for just a minute by itself so it gets a little fluffy. It'll make it a lot easier on you adding the powdered sugar. And we're actually going to put a little bit of vegan heavy cream in here. And it just, oh, it made the flavor so good. It went so well with that apple pie flavor. And again, it needs to be softened, so a lot of times when I bake, I just take out my whole thing of butter and just kind of leave it out on my counter for the day. Alright, so that just whipped a little bit. I would do it a little bit longer, but I know I can only keep you guys entertained for so long, so I'm only going to whip mine a little bit today. And then we're going to do, where my cup went? It's going to end up being about 3 cups of sugar, but start with just about, you know, 1.5. Ooh. Start with about half of it, and then we'll go from there, because we're going to want a slightly thicker texture, but not too thick. We're going to do that. We're going to put in a teaspoon of vanilla. And we're going to do, for starters, which is really neat, Silk just started making this heavy whipping cream. Oh my god, it's so good. The flavor is just absolutely amazing. Where my tablespoons went, so we'll do it this way. Start with a tablespoon, but you're going to probably end up using about 2 to 3. Start this on low. See? just want to, whip it until it gets a nice, smooth, good, creamy texture. This used to always be Dad's job during the holidays because it took a little extra time to make sure it was really creamy and smooth, and he would usually be sitting on the couch watching whatever sports were on, even if it came down to it was golf, volleyball. I mean, I'm sure there was even some curling in there, huh, Dad? Alright, so I got a nice, smooth and creamy. Let's go ahead and give it a little taste, though. That heavy cream just, oh my God, it adds that little extra bit that needs to be there. So we're going to just go ahead, I put my piping bags in a cup. It just makes it so much easier. And I thought it'd be fun to use a Grimace cup today, just for fun. So go ahead and load your frosting in there. And if you have a tip, use one of your pretty designer tips. If not, don't worry about it. Just cut a cute little hole in there. You'll get the same effect. I'm not lying about making it easier. See, it wasn't. And go ahead and cut just a little bit there. Right. And get our cupcakes that we just did all that work there. And then we're just going to make sure a nice piled high frosting. I like a little bit of the apple pie filling to be showing so people have an idea that there is something special coming in there. But if you want to, load it high with frosting, that is all you, and I would totally eat that and be super happy. And then just top it with a cute little bit extra. And then just for some added fun, I actually had some coconut sugar around the house, and it's a little bit thicker granule, and it's gotten cute little brown color to it, and it just, a little extra sweetness and stuff. So I sprinkled a little bit of that on top, and then just a tiny bit more cinnamon. And then just, look how cute those are. They just turn out, and that apple pie filling is just going to explode in your mouth. It is so good when you bite into that cupcake. It is absolutely amazing. So that is our recipe for today, guys. I really hoped you enjoyed it. I hope you guys make this one. I know there's quite a few steps to it, but trust me, you're going to love it. It's so delicious, and I think it'll be another new favorite to add, even not for the holidays. You can do this one at any time, I feel like. So make sure you guys check in next Tuesday. I always have new videos that we're putting up live. Also have a new YouTube, Chantilly's Kitchen Hop. So if you guys want to check that out and go hit like and subscribe, that would be great. And make sure you guys check in next week. Have a great rest of your week. Happy holidays, and see you guys. Bye.